Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Kafé Kouvénta, an Ethnikos Kyrikas and National Herald broadcast. I'm your host, Eraklis Diamataris. Thank you for joining us. With me today, I'm honored to have Andreas Dracopoulos kick off our new segment, our new podcasting and YouTube video series, Kafé Kouvénta. Andreas Dracopoulos is the co-president of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, one of the world's leading philanthropic organizations, supporting thousands of projects across education, health, culture, and civic life. Under his leadership, the foundation has become a global force for good, helping transform both Greece and communities around the world. Andreas has been recognized internationally for his contributions, receiving honors from Greece, France, and the United States, including being named a Living Landmark of New York. He's also been deeply engaged with institutions such as Johns Hopkins University, the Rockefeller University, and the New York Public Library. And I'm especially proud to note that the National Herald, which I have the honor of co-publishing and editing, recognized Andreas during our newspaper's 100th anniversary celebration for his extraordinary dedication to Greek education and the global Hellenic community. It's once again a privilege to welcome him to Café and Kouvénta. Andrea, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I have the coffee. We have the Kouvénta.
I had the coffee.
So it's all good.
I had the coffee on my way in, so you'll have to forgive me. Andrea, thank you once again for your time. I know how interesting and challenging these times must be. To get the conversation started, what can you tell us about your upbringing? What brought you to this moment? What were your influences? And what were some crucial crossroads in your personal life growing up that kind of shaped who you are today?
There you don't need a cafe and Kouvénta. There you need a whole maybe a week. We get on a cruise ship, go for a week. No, thank you. Listen, philanthropy was never in my radar screen when I was growing up. I grew up in Athens, Greece, and then I came to the US as an immigrant in 1982 to attend the college, and I went to the Wharton Business School at UPenn. And then the idea was that I would stay here for a while, get some experience, and then maybe go back to Greece. But one thing brought the other, and decided to stay here. I worked at Salomon Brothers at the time, and then I joined the family business and my great uncle, and the rest is history. So it was basically in the business world, in the financial markets, as investors. And then when my great uncle passed away in 1996, he endowed through his will the foundation, which at the beginning it was basically on the side. And I remember we had at the time we were doing our business, with shipping and investments, and then we had one person in New York and one person in Athens, Greece, to try to see how we can on the side engage in some philanthropic activity. It soon became evident, a lot of things. Number one, the needs around us. There are so many needs around us. Number two, how much good one can do. Number three, the responsibility that we all have. And it's not about money. It's about if you have the time, the talent, the money, the power to share with society. And it became evident that this is where our focus was going to be. So soon enough, we basically spun off the business, and we kept the operation and fully transferred it into what is today the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. That's all we do. We don't do any business. That was important because I'm a big believer that you shouldn't be mixing up the two things. Philanthropy, you have to have the state of mind, which is different than just trying to make money. We don't do any business in Greece. We don't do any business anywhere other than investing our own funds to be able to continue to grow and to be able to provide more support to society. So that's in a brief summary how we got here, and it's been 30 years since my great uncle died. 30 years since the foundation has been in existence. And we're happy to be celebrating with our grantees. We have more than 3,000 grantees in more than 135 countries in the world. And we're going to be celebrating with them because we consider all of our grantees as our partners. So we call them partner grantees. So the idea is we're going to be celebrating with our partner grantees in June 21st to 28th, for a whole week at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center in Greece under the Nostos Festival. We're going to be celebrating our previous 30 years and at the same time questioning and discussing the next 30 years. And in that respect, we are engaging a lot the youth. We believe a lot in the power of the youth, the imagination of the youth, and also sharing with them the responsibility and the accountability that comes with all of these, advantages. So we're going to be engaging with a lot of young people. We have youth committees, so they can help us shape our next steps.
Thank you for that complicated but concise overview. So we're going to delve into that a little bit more later on as we talk. But I kind of want to take a step back in terms of, you mentioned your great uncle Stavros Niarchos, which obviously this foundation, this very important foundation, is named after. What you mentioned before getting into the family business, you were investing, you were in financial markets. What my understanding is that you had worked alongside your great uncle.
I worked for him and with him, yeah.
Yeah, and got to experience him on a day-to-day basis. What was that like to work next to and under the man for which this foundation is named after? And what sort of lessons did you get from his work ethic, from whatever it is, that allowed you to understand what it takes to run a massive organization?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and the answer is not simple. I mean, it was a great experience and a great lesson for anybody young to be able to do that. It was a privilege for me to be able to spend time with him and to work for him and to learn under him and with him. And especially the 5 6 years towards the end of his life, I was very close with him and working with him the whole time. A lot of lessons, but basically lessons of life. And I think these are values that I also had developed. So in many ways, we had uh, similar views of life. Of course, he was much more both successful and experienced, but we had a lot of common outlook for life and values. And I think one of them is basically hard work. That no matter how talented you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much, you have to work hard. And the issues of accountability, responsibility, and discipline. And at the same time, try to enjoy it. But you have to love what you do. But if you do love what you do, give it all you have. And this is something which I tell my children also. Every day, just go to bed and knowing that you have given it all you have. It doesn't mean you're going to be every day you're going to get an A in your work or in your life or whatever, but knowing that you've spent your time giving it all you have. I think that's a very important outlook for life, whether it's school, whether it's work, whether it's family, to be there and give it all you have.
Yeah, it's very important. Talent can only get you so far. Hard work needs to take over and push you across the finish line.
And also and also ethics. And I think that's something which maybe we used to take for granted, but I think it's a very important aspect of who you are and what our societies are. And we need ethics. We need to focus more on ethics, more on doing the right thing.
When do you think that this sort of slide in ethics began? Has it always been there? It's a little more, or is it a little bit more out in the open with the internet? What do you attribute that
It's
to?
certainly out in the open. What's the real cause? I don't know. But in my view, there's no doubt that the sort of dilution of family and family values has actually contributed to that. And it all starts from your own home, it starts from your own family. So it hasn't helped that the institution of family has gone through very challenging times. And these can be also financial, this can also be the pressures of life. the expectations on all of us. Technology, I think, in many ways, that doesn't help. I mean, having access to all of this information is both good and bad, and I think also there's at least the perception, probably the reality, that we have lack of leadership throughout, and I think all these things come together
Throughout what? The world?
throughout society. We have lack of leadership, whether it's politics, whether it's business, and it all comes together. You know, lack of ethics, lack of leadership, uh, and there are many more pressures, many more challenges. It's a tough time for the world civilization, I think, today.
So the lack of people with ethics, possibly in leadership positions, creates
A vacuum.
a vacuum of role models for which younger generations can follow. But again, you said that is personal accountability. It's not just a role model. It
Exactly.
starts
It's
from the
it's
home.
that's why from the beginning I said that's a difficult question because it's like so many attributes, but it seems that we are almost in a perfect storm in the last few years.
Mm.
And the main risk for me is that we are diluting our own humanity, and we are diluting our own humanity as a society at the time when AI is slowly but steadily taking over. And I'm not somebody who doesn't believe. I mean, I believe in technology, but I think, to put it bluntly and put it simply, I don't think humanity is ready for AI in so many ways. So all this is happening at a time when we are not taking care of our own humanity. A lot of some people may say this is like, a baby boomer values, but I mean, you have to keep the values about the responsibility, accountability, ethics, working hard, taking care of people, empathy, respect, trust. All of these words have been diluted, and all of these are part of what makes us human.
Right.
So we have to be careful about our own humanity, and that's why I think it's like beyond politics. It's beyond ideals, because I mean, even you can't talk about democracy when our own humanity is being diluted. I mean, you cannot expect to have a healthy and powerful democracy if you don't take care of your own humanity and all the values that contribute to our humanity.
So you're saying is that could be a slippery slope in terms of losing your humanity, because if you're in a democratic system and you're losing your own humanity, perhaps you'd be more willing to cede more of that humanity since you already started with whatever it might be, AI or whatever it is, and maybe that's contributing to a slide around the world towards autocracy. Could that be?
It could be, but again, again, I think, at least in our work also at the foundation,
Mhm.
and we say humanity at the core.
Mhm.
Uh, we try and we intend and that's what we do. We don't get involved in any politics because we believe that it's all about being human and helping our fellow human being. And I think by doing that, you actually prepare the seeds for a healthy society. And a healthy society eventually automatically brings a healthy democracy. So they all work together. But I mean, looking at it from the other way around, if you lose your humanity, if we're not, if we don't take care of our own humanity, don't expect to have, a proper democracy, or more importantly, or as importantly, a healthy society. And as we all know, a healthy society is the best way to avoid extremes of any kind.
Mhm. Yeah, extremes either one way or the other, ideologically, politically, or otherwise. It's
Exactly.
always good to have balance. Um, you were talking about humanity, ethics, and what the foundation is all about. I want to go back a little bit to your great uncle who exhibited some traits that were clearly uncommon in his time, which is why he was able to get to where he got. Because to be in the in the middle, in with the vast majority of people, he wouldn't have been able to create what he created. Over the years, as I've known you from personal experience and from afar, and from the foundation as well, you have struck not just me, but many people as cut from a different cloth from people that you might have grown up with, people that you might have known from Athens, or even just from UPenn, or whatever walk of life. You had a different mentality on how to handle humanity and how to advance progress, in a sense. What is it that people who have means, particularly, this is a Ethnikos Kyrikas National Herald podcast, so we're going to be more centered on the Greek portion. What is it about folks with means in Greece or the Greek diaspora that doesn't allow them, in some sense, to emulate your work here at the foundation? It could be from a smaller scale. It doesn't matter. It's a state of mind. What do you think is different?
Yeah, I don't want to compare ourselves with anybody else. I feel very privileged to be in the position that I am, and that's why I thank my great uncle every day and every opportunity I get. And on the other hand, for me, it becomes very simple. It becomes your responsibility. Uh, People talk about privilege, and sometimes they get very defensive about it. I think the idea of privilege is to understand it, to appreciate it, to enjoy it when it comes to whatever the privilege is, but at the same time to appreciate and accept the responsibility that comes with it. And the responsibility has to do with taking care not just yourself, but making sure that you can contribute and you can share your money, your talent, whatever it is with the wider society. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
You talk about humanity, you talk about democracy. It's not about you yourself. So for me, I'm not doing anything which I wouldn't expect people in my position to do. And that's not trying to underestimate or overestimate. It's a very simple thing. You're given an opportunity, do the best you can with it, and make sure that you accept also with all the benefits, you accept the responsibility that you have towards the wider society.
To me, at least, and that's a very good answer. To me, at least, you are the most consequential living Greek person in the world. And that is not taking away all the personal stuff. It is the Stavros Niarchos Cultural Center in Athens, the amount of giving that has happened. Not just that, I just named a large project that you can't help but see when you arrive in Athens. You have been at the forefront of helping to create a better society, not just Greece, but American diaspora and diaspora all over the world. Is the fact that you and the foundation have played such a role an indictment on the Greek state, in the sense that you have had to play such a large part in it, where governments usually take care of a lot of these things, but the foundation had to step in to fill in critical needs, and one that comes to mind is what is currently being built in northern Greece, the Children's Hospital. That has been
Yeah.
a chronic need that should have been solved by the state.
Let me tell you. So thank you for your nice words, but it's not about me. It's about the SNF. It's about the Stavros Niarchos Foundation as an institution.
Of course.
Yes, for an institution to work, you have to have the right people. And yes, we have a very good team, and I'm very proud of the team and of my colleagues that for 30 years have helped us create the mission and implement the vision we had. So it's a teamwork. And at the end of the day, if there was no SNF as an institution, you wouldn't be talking to me. Now, talking about since day one in Greece, we said we're here to complement. We're not here to replace. This eventually became, with the times, the importance globally of the public-private partnerships. I think the issues are too big for everybody throughout the world, that no single government, no single private entity, I don't care who you are or how much money you have, you cannot do it on your own. And that's a very simple truth, and it's the reality. You cannot do it on your own, no matter who you are. So for me, public-private partnerships are the solution in different ways, in different versions, in different magnitudes. But it's all about the mentality of working together. Because again, the issues that we are facing as a world, as a global human society, are huge. And we see it now again going back to AI. There's no real strategy. There's no real common ground as a human society. How are we going to deal with AI? They are like bits and pieces. And yes, there's a lot of good, but we're not ready to to have a strategy. And you need a strategy. Uh, so again, it's about working together. It's about public-private partnerships. It's about dealing with so many issues that I don't care who you are, you cannot do it on your own.
Is there a project or an initiative that you have done as a foundation that you are most proud of? I mean, they're all
Listen, yeah,
special, of
I mean,
course.
as I said, we've done about more than 5,000 grants in 135 countries. We love them all, from a very small one to a very big one. And you mentioned this, the SNF Cultural Center, which is our largest individual project. We're currently undergoing in the last few years the Global Health Initiative. It's in the magnitude of more than $1 billion. It's in many countries with many collaborations. At the heart of it, you mentioned the one hospital, three hospitals in Athens, Greece, which we are building, and Renzo Piano is the architect, uh, with maybe the most important of the three, although they're all very important, being the pediatric in the Saloniki. I was amazed as a Greek also, and having grown up in Greece, that outside of Athens there is no pediatric hospital. So that was one of the main reasons why we agreed immediately when we spoke with the then health ministry, to see what the needs are, to agree to do that. And it's coming out great. And I think it's not about only the building; it's about all the already established collaborations with major institutions in the US, in like Spain, and many collaborations. So the idea is we build the structure, we build the infrastructure, not only the equipment but also training in infections, in like trauma. So creating the ecosystem which is required for them to be successful, because then we turn them over 100%, like we did with the cultural center, to the Greek people. And many people then say, why are you giving it 100%? Or they're not going to do a good job. And I say, we do all we can. Again, we're here to complement, we're not here to replace. And at the same time, the state has to rise to the occasion, and run them properly. It's not about politics, it's not about governments, it's about the whole state mechanism, whoever the government is. Governments come and go, 4 years, 8 years. And I think governments have to understand they have fiduciary responsibility to the people. So I'm hopeful, and I'm hoping that they will do a good job to run them for the people.
That's who it is for at the end of the day. And what you were saying before about personal accountability, the people in those places in the government need to look themselves in the mirror if they allow these beautiful things to go to waste, because at the end of the day, they're hurting the people. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention as well, both my parents are from islands. They're not from Athens or the Attica region. And one of the things that we've seen from the foundation that is just so beautiful is the mobile health units that reach far and sometimes isolated places in Greece and bring world-class
Most
health.
times isolated, yeah.
Yeah, world-class healthcare right to people's doorsteps or right in a central location where it's accessible. So that is another way of what you said, complementing rather than replacing. Because yes, there might be a doctor that comes through every few weeks, but what if you need help now? And that's a very critical complementary thing to the health system. And where do you see the foundation going from here? Where do you see, in 10 years' time, for
We don't
example?
think too much about it because we think about what can we do now. In other words, again, we're open for business 24/7. On the other hand, as we say, we're not an ATM, so we don't have infinite resources, so we still have to make choices.
Mhm.
But we're here, we're open. That's what we do. We try to help, and as long as we have the financial means, we will continue to do our job every day. And our job is we have this privilege, but also the responsibility to try to do the best we can improve society.
Is there anything that you've seen since you've become part of this foundation, part of the infrastructure of this foundation and leading it? Have you seen anything that you would like to change from within, from the way that things are done?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult for me to do, to make this assessment because I basically started the foundation on my own with one or two persons. So I've been part of it. So I'm subjective. Uh, I demand a lot of myself, and I demand a lot of my colleagues. Uh, and even though sometimes or many times we say that we can do more and we can do it better, I'm very proud of what the foundation has actually achieved all these 30 years. Have we made mistakes? I'm sure we have. But as a whole, I'm very proud of all my colleagues, the team, and what the SNF has actually done to contribute to society. And we're going to continue as long as we are healthy and have the means, continue to do the best we can.
And I just want to say one last question. I've heard you say repeatedly the phrase maybe at the end of a speech, or maybe
Stay human.
yes, exactly. That's where I was going with that. So, what does that mean? What does
I
staying
think
human
it
mean?
goes back to what we were talking about before, how important our own humanity is. And again, I think it's more important than fighting about political systems and about political ideals. And I do worry more than I worry about whichever political way one country goes or another. I think it all starts the same way we say that for human beings, it's all about character. It's all about integrity. You can agree to disagree. It's all about integrity and character. As a whole, it's all about maintaining our own humanity on what makes us different from animals. And we are at that stage. We have to take care of our own humanity with all the values that come with it that we discussed before: empathy and responsibility and dignity and all of these issues which we used to take for granted. And I think it's evident that they're being at least diluted in the last few years. Is it there's too much stress? Is it there's too many expectations? Is it about technology? Is it about losing the value of reality in many ways? And I don't know, but we are being attacked by from the inside in terms of diluting our own humanity, and we can't take it for granted. So we have to keep fighting. As somebody says, you don't have democracy, you do democracy.
Hmm.
So it's time to say you don't have humanity, you do humanity. You have to work for it. You have to make sure that we stay human, and it's important. And I think it's the only thing we have. If we don't stay human, I think to put it bluntly, AI in terms of like IQ, AI has already won. I mean, who thinks that we have as humans that we are better IQ than AI? I don't think many people. So what stays? EQ. What's EQ? Your emotional strength as a human. So we have to take care of it, and it starts from staying human yourself, and character and integrity, and then going up with that.
Well, at this point, I'd just like to say thank you to Andreas Dracopoulos, co-president of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. Thank you so much for your time. I want to thank all the listeners of the podcast and viewers, wherever you might find your podcast. You can find Kafé Kouvénta. I'm honored to have Andreas Dracopoulos as our first guest, and we hope that you enjoyed this lively conversation, even though only one of us had a café. And for me, I'm Eraklis Diamataris. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Until next time, thank you and stay human.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.